Everyone, and you are joining the Daily AI Show. Today's episode is about RunwayML. It is February 2nd, Friday, 2024. And I'm joined by Beth and Andy, and I'm Jumi. And let's get into it. This is a tool that we've mentioned on the show before in passing or for the news or whatnot. But I always have a special place in my heart for any art or creative tool that's available. Before we go too deep into it, I wanted to open up the discussion with first impressions. Now, I've used the tool a little bit before, so I wanted to see if Andy or Beth, you had first impressions on the service.
So I've used the tool a little bit before too. And in fact, so those early video creations were still in my assets list and much more cohesive, right? So like I had a wild idea several whatevers ago about ants stacking boxes, and that iteration was very smushed ants, parts of ants moving, and I could see that. I did not try to recreate that specific idea because luckily I've moved on in things that I would like to see. But what I did ask for was much more cohesive, not splitting into parts in the same kind of way, though still morphing.
Gotcha. So Beth, what would you describe RunwayML as for those who have no experience with it whatsoever?
RunwayML is a very powerful video editing tool that is getting more and more beginner user friendly. I think it's an incredible tool for people who are skilled in shot selection and describing like what they want, the way movies are put together. I think if you're someone who like plays around in DALL-E and Midjourney and you're like, cool, I can animate stuff, it's not actually made for that in the same kind of way. Like you can totally, but that's where I found my limitations, was like, I should probably have a shot selection idea or an overarching, like, how am I moving things together? What do I want to see other than, ooh, cool, I can extend this by 4 more seconds. Because now I'm like, now it's just extended. I'm not telling a story. Right.
All right.
Which is what we want, right? We want videos to tell us stories. So, Andy, did you have a?
Yeah, so I have not played much with images or video. I use, DALL-E 3 inside ChatGPT, but I'm a follower of lots of different technologies that are being used in AI. And I just want to comment about RunwayML. This is, I think, the leading AI team that's working in video and animation. And I just did a little bit of research just before the show, and I went back to a post that Ali Miller did way back in the middle of 2022. So this is before ChatGPT came out. Now, Ali Miller is a really great observer now of everything in AI, but has a long pedigree of the major AI companies. Her last post was as the lead in AWS's AI investments in teams and technologies. So Amazon's, it's like, but she worked at all the major players. So a real leader and thought leader in AI. And she posted about RunwayML, just giving them kudos back in 2022 as the leading team that she had identified doing this work. And then in addition, I follow on TikTok a woman who's an artist using Runway to animate images that she generates in Midjourney and or DALL-E 3. And they're astounding. And I can share some of those later when we get to that. After reviewing the tool, you'll see what a real high-level, experienced RunwayML user can do with Runway. It's really, really impressive.
All right. Well, speaking of that, let's hop into let's look at some of the features here. All right. So what I'm sharing here is essentially my my account. It's on the free plan, which I did want to note is a fairly extensive free plan
Yeah.
from testing all these different types of tools, different AI tools. I'm really impressed with how much you can do with just their free access. And then everything else in like with all other AI tools, it's all based off of credits, which is because of compute power and resources and things like that. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight first off is the amount of tools that are available when it comes to post-production of video or even just generating images and video. So as you can see, we've got like a couple dozen tools here, and they cover the full gambit of post-production video. So whether you need to remove background, or you need to expand your image, or you know if you need to replace parts of the image, and these are all things, all tools and features that aren't really highlighted as part of the Runway campaign, or what people talk about, because generative AI is the focus. And that's certainly true about the product as well. Is it really is about their video generation. All right, we've talked about Midjourney and Dolly as image generation, but Runway's always been at the forefront of trying to do adding motion and just making, instead of still images, video. And their latest model, I guess, is their Gen 2 product. And so you can take text or image as the basis for whatever you're trying to generate. All right, so now I hope I don't scar people too much with showing my basic assets that I came up with yesterday to highlight for the show. But I wanted to point out how far it's come since I first tested this tool, right? So this is an image that I generated basically off of this very simple prompt. This is just text, and you can see we can see here an incredible amount of movement on the ocean. And I chose ocean as the image because there's a lot of various movement, the tides, and when we see various waves going on. So there is so many opportunities to see the flaws, so to speak. So I thought this would be a really good example of showing how far it's come. Now, of course, there's still some issues you can see with the swimmer and things like that. But if you look at the waves itself, we can see the mist coming off of the crest. We can see the wave motion and the wave breaking in the correct sequence. We got some good depth of field going on. And so I think this is a fantastic leap from when I first tested the platform.
Yeah, and ocean movement, if you try to simulate that in a 3D model, it's very, very difficult.
Exactly. Water is always a tough one, right? Yeah.
Sort of this passes the sort of the vision test of a physics correct representation of wave motion, which is really, really good.
Right. So I'll go back to the tools here. And I wanted to highlight, because there's so many tools to try out for your post-production, for your video assets. This really highlights that Runway is a platform, right? That's one of the things that they're really creating here is, and if you look at their tutorials, they hit upon the fact that you can do pretty much everything that's required for post-production in the platform, right? Even some basic editing and things like that. Of course, you'll want to, the final product, you'll want to pop into your NLE. But but you can do all of these applications of these tools to your project, starting from nothing. You can start from just text to generate an image to informing and using it as a prompt to generate video.
Right.
Use,
so let's just
Jimmy,
look at
can
the.
you use? I'm sorry. Just a quick question. Can you use a short video clip as the seed that you start with, in addition to either an image or using a text prompt?
Well, they do have video to video, right? That's another option. I'm not. Let me see if I can find it here.
Yeah, I knew that was available, because there's a great thing on. There's a post I also saw of a woman doing an animation, but she didn't have enough. She said she doesn't have enough budget for my video, so she has a toilet seat, and she's pulling a hand-drawn picture of blobs behind the toilet seat and taking a video with her camera, and then Runway turns that into clouds going behind a framed scene. It's just amazing, the transformation that she was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll find that at some point, but it's definitely on Runway. RunwayML reposted that on one of their feeds, so it's findable.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm always amazed at the ability for creative people to come up with solutions or applications of various media or tools to express themselves. Right now, I showed a little bit.
I'm going to interrupt again. Sorry. Okay. Because I interrupted Beth. Beth, what were you going to say? I was
just going to say, so we're talking about the other tools. Jumi, can you pull up the thing again? And let's just talk about, so what we're seeing, if you are listening to this, is a grid of things like video to video and text to video, which we know exist. Right. Remove background, text to image, image to image. So you can change the style of the image. So if you got a photo, you can make it hand drawn, that kind of stuff. Text to speech. You can train your own thing. Yeah, we have infinite image. Is that what I'm seeing? I now need to make it bigger. Infinite image, expand image, frame interpolation. Erase and replace, super slow motion. I mean, if you've ever tried to do anything before slow-mo was an option on your iPhone, or if you're like, wow, that would have been a great video if it were slow motion, and you realize the reason that it's a different feature is because it has to actually put more frames, which is why it goes slow. So
exactly. Yeah, and I even like that they have transcript and subtitle generation in here.
Right.
So when I said they have almost every tool that you need for your post-production process, they do. I mean, they even cover things like motion tracking. You can do color grading, in this thing here.
You can capture 3D, right? You can click that, take your phone, walk around several times around an object, gives you a whole tutorial about how to do that.
Jimmy, is there a tool that lets you move the camera perspective on a video or image that you've created?
Yeah, you can add, so you can describe your the movement that you're looking for in the prompt for your video, and then you can also modify the camera motion itself and adjust the image.
Junmi has just pulled up, for those listening on Spotify, it just pulled up a control panel for camera motion. So even after you've done everything else, if you want to change the position and the movement of the camera's perspective on the scene, you can do that right here in RunwayML.
Exactly.
So this is one of the places where I got tripped up, and I believe I needed to upscale my image more for Runway to understand really what it was. I was like, oh, cool, I'll do really far away images of a unicorn in a forest. But then it I'll show later if we have time, but it definitely morphs when I tried to pan and do some things, it was like, oh, we don't know what that is. Let's just make it something else.
Right, right. And I definitely want to highlight so I want to take a look at what you've generated and some of the things that Andy mentioned before, because there's just so many little dials now, especially with things like Motion Brush, where you can take your image that can already exist, and we've seen it when Runway initially announced Motion Brush, where they showed a static image of a boat on the ocean, and then they brushed over the ocean, and then the ocean started moving, right? Or brushed over the clouds, and the clouds started moving. And so I think those kinds of elements really move forward what you can do. You can take existing assets, you can create new assets, and you can apply all of their various tools to your post-production. Now, this is probably going to take a while, so I'm gonna move off of that. But I think this would be a great opportunity. Everyone's seen the general images that I was able to create early on sometime yesterday. But I'd love to see what you folks created.
So I need to say that I have conflated two ideas, not super surprising. But my first, so it wasn't the image that I used in, this image came from Runway.
It's a unicorn in the forest.
Mm-hmm. It understood the unicorn that it made much more, although when the pan is happening, so I just have a pan around it, the unicorn horn is not staying sort of in integrity with its head. But actually,
but it's a photorealistic
this was one of the first things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
This is a photorealistic image. It's really, really a good horse image. In DALL-E 3, they lose legs and that sort of thing. This is a really intact one, and we're doing a kind of a rotating view around with the forest in the background. It's really excellent.
Awesome.
And so that was an intense pan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I would suggest, if you're going to come and play with this kind of stuff, be ready to burn a bunch of your free credits figuring out what the tools are. If you don't normally, like, I thought pan, because pan in like iMovie is you're just moving the camera get right? Not like panning, not like a film person thinks of panning. So like get used to what those words mean, what they do to your images or your video. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
I think
I'm going to stop sharing.
Gosh, I think this is a perfect opportunity. Andy, you had mentioned an artist that you were really impressed with, and I'd love to see what an expert at Runway can produce.
So this is Kelly Bosch, and she is a designer and video editor. And one of the more recent things that she put up is this. Let me get rid of this thing out of the way.
Oh, I saw this. Yes.
Fantastic images of AI birds.
Right, so these are
the idea there. Really, really, you would think these were living birds, but they're so colorful and so beautiful. Let's go look at something that's more fantastic. She did recently a thing that's similar to this, that's based off of a Monty Python.
Prepare yourself for an expedition into the delightfully absurd, a journey through scenes that defy both explanation and expectation in equal bewildering measure.
So, Andy, I can't hear you while you're talking. Hang on.
Where each turn is more unexpected than...
I'll turn off that.
There you go.
Thank you. Say again what you were saying.
I'm just saying what we're seeing here is a series of images with multiple actors moving in different. They're all in bizarre costumes. They're representative of the Monty Python characters, but like a movie. Like these are images that really could pass almost as something that was done with a camera to some degree. Let me, they're trying to make me log into TikTok, which I don't want to do right now. I just want to show you one other thing, which is, really impressive. This is, these look very human to me. So these are moving models. She posed them in different dance poses, and then Runway animated them to have them moving slowly, but they're really quite excellent representations of human bodies of various types, all very, very detailed. Right. Every element of the image of the person is very detailed, and this is all being done with AI generated images and then animation by RunwayML.
Right. So in the same way that when we're looking at moving water, it's really easy to see, like, wow, something was off there. Same with moving bodies, right? I mean, and the slow-mo is intentional because that's how Runway does stuff. But if the muscle is not responding the way a muscle should in the slow-mo, our eyes would pick it up because we recognize people. All right, Jimmy, this is your show. We are taking it over. Please share.
No. I think it's really important to see, like, when we cover a lot of different AI tools, it's things that have just come out, or it's some aspect that we that we want to focus on. But these are all still relatively new, right? So being able to come back to Runway after a year and see how far the technology has moved forward, and seeing how much you can do with little effort, and then seeing what you can do with a lot of effort. I think that was really important to show. Now, I do want to take the opportunity for our viewers to get our opinions on. So we've talked about our first impressions. We've talked about how we can generate things, and that seems to be all good there. But I also want to highlight. So let's go over we've gone over the pros, right? This is all fantastic creative tool. You can experiment all you want, be really creative. So what are the cons, right? What are the realities of generative AI video and Runway specifically? Any thoughts?
I think the mid-journey to Runway pipeline is a higher learning curve. And I am really good in mid-journey. And so got really excited that I was going to be able to do this stuff and the motion brush and all of that. I think now looking back, the images or the videos that I generated directly in Runway were better. Like, it understood. I mean, even though the unicorn in my video lost its horn, I think if you're beginning, that's a better option. I also still okay. I'm hesitating because when people come and see improv, sometimes the criticism is I knew it was improv. And you came to see improv. Yes. Right. There was no question that it was all improv. So to a certain extent, when I look at an AI video, I still know it's AI video. And right. I know, I mean, like, yes, I expect that AI video will become its own genre and have like some like glitches that are kept in, because that's like the new kind of fun format.
Creating its own tropes or own recognized elements and things like that. Okay. Right. I can see that. Like we've said before, when we talked about generative AI video, is it ready for mainstream? I think we're a lot closer, and I think what we can see from very experienced artists is, I think we can really break down down to those elements, and adding that camera movement really, or any kind of movement to the video, really adds an extra layer. Now, what I would love to see is how the tools can be applied to the post-production process on a consistent basis, right? So let's say I've got, I'm doing a matte painting, or, I've got a series of images, right? They've got even a sequencing tool on there. They got the interpolation tool, so you can fill in the missing pieces, so you don't have to worry about stuttering video. I would really love to see generative AI video applied to a traditional video project. What elements of those tools can be applied as part of the existing process? Now, I haven't found those examples yet, but
okay. So our good friend Greg has just supplied me with the link to the TikTok of that video that I described, where she was doing.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Greg.
So let's take a look at that. Let me just quickly go find it again here.
Greg,
just a second.
it's co-host.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to show you this thing, which is really, really cool. Like, this gives you the idea that eventually we'll all be able to make our own videos in this same clever way. Okay, can you see that now?
There we go.
Yeah, okay. So let's play this. It's just 27 seconds. So she doesn't have budget for the video. So she does this thing.
Oh, wow.
She's dragging a car across a table, and it becomes an animation of a car. Oh, this was very clever. Books stacked on a table become a village scene. And then here's a winter scene of a resort made out of pillows on a table. All right.
That's awesome. I love that.
Isn't that cool? Let me just.
So that gets my imagination going. That's super fun.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Can you imagine if in 1977 they used all of their models they built for Star Wars, and then had the generative AI abilities to apply those textures or whatnot. I want to see that.
The computer generated imagery that's been around for a long time, since I was young, really, when you think about, where it started out, to AI driven CGI. Wow. We're going to see some amazing feature length animations out there soon.
So just her name was Karen X Chen, CHENG Cheng. Yeah. Sorry. Karen X Cheng.
Okay. Well, I wanted to take a quick last minute and show that that video that I asked it to generate. So based upon
so much better.
Right. So as you can see, I just asked it, unicorn in the forest. So, it took some liberties, but I think it came out pretty good.
It's messing up the front legs. So that would have to be corrected.
But I wanted to take this opportunity so that we could apply things to the image. Let's see here. Oh, that's from the existing one. There we go. The camera motion. So I wanted to see so we can show. All right. So we've got a little movement, right? A little camera movement from left to right on this, and we've got some movement into the unicorn. Let's see if we can. Increase our. There's a slight zoom in on here. Let's see if we can increase our zoom a little bit, and see if we can adjust that. Will it allow me to generate based off of this? Oh, there we go. Sorry. All right. So we're adding a little movement on that, but I just wanted to show the various tools that you could apply to the images. And so it'll probably take a few more minutes. That's, I guess, if I were going to add in my cons, and this is, it's this would be nitpicking on this, is the amount of time it actually takes to generate images. Now in Midjourney, and Beth, you can speak to this. You can rapidly iterate on your images with Midjourney, right? And I
Okay.
think the limitation here for me is that I'm on a free account. That is one of the things that I wanted to point out is you get scaled of processing speed as well as number of credits when you go to the paid plans for Runway. So
yeah, I've seen some YouTube videos where someone's just changing the background or the surface on which an animation is taking place, and it's doing it in real time.
Yeah. Also, how spoiled are we?
It's true.
Talk to
Very
your
true.
2022 self and be like, oh, it's taken 3 minutes to generate a video out of thin air with the change that I asked for. I mean, it's like, I get it. I totally get it. I feel the same way. But like,
no, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Why doesn't the magic happen sooner?
Oh yeah, no. But beyond that, so while this is finishing up, I did also want to point out. What's that?
It's about 90% done.
Okay, so while that's finishing up, I wanted to highlight a little bit of this film festival that Runway had put together, and we're actually technically on the second annual film festival. And so I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at the entries and the winners for the first AI Film Festival, and I was fairly impressed with what you were able to do with those first generation Gen AI tools. So I'm really excited to see what's going to go on for this new festival. And Beth, I know we had talked about this earlier, but there is 26 more days.
There are 26 more days.
There are 26 more days to submit a film.
Oh,
and you totally should. I confused. They also run a 48-hour film festival several times in the year.
Gotcha.
And so the February Film Festival actually starts the 3rd through the 5th, maybe 7th through the 9th. I don't know. Go look.
Okay.
It's February.
Gotcha.
That's where we were
this weekend, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to propose that we collectively, as the Daily AI Show, submit a film to this competition. We got 26 days. Right. It only has to be a minute long. And so I wanted to, maybe Greg can chime in here. Do our viewers want to see a Daily AI Show film submission?
Please say yes. Please say yes.
I say yes to that. If it's just a minute, I immediately flash to like some animation of the evolution of AI. We've actually done this as one of our show images on the. I guess it's Brian who does those. But the evolution from the fish, the cell to the fish to all the way to a human walking. Well, we'll do something that's representative of that whole thing, but make it really clever and animated.
Maybe.
All right, Greg came through for us. So when the rest of the DAS crew catch up on this episode, Greg said we had to do one, so we got to go do one now. Thanks, Greg.
Greg speaks for the silent majority.
All
right. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the video real quick and see what manipulation. Okay, so so this is just that slight zoom, and it generated the new image to show that particular motion, and that's what I really like about it is the control, right? So I can put together a bunch of scenes based on what particular movement I want to see, right? Yeah. So this is
and it's the same forest, it's the same unicorn, it's a different view.
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
It's still some funky leg, but that's okay.
Yeah. So now imagine, like we saw in the video of Karen, Karen Chang, who was doing the simple iPhone videos of 3D objects on a table and then translating those into something. Now you have a video in RunwayML that it's generated from those videos. And now you can do post-production editing and create all sorts of different effects. Wow. It really is a full platform as you described.
Right.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what we're going to get out of this next festival, what we're going to see in advancement of generative AI, particularly video. And I really want to see what artists and creatives can do. Is there any last thoughts before we close it up for the day?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something that was in the news today. A new tool. Let me see if I can find it here. I've forgotten the name of it already. Darn it.
While Andy's looking for that, I'm going to say that
please.
While we're growing the tech, if you want to engage in video, grow your storytelling props. Right.
Yeah.
And there are some great creators. David Valavia, I believe is how you say his name.
Okay.
He's the one who did the art, the museum display with all of the animation about those art pieces. He does a storytelling thing because he's really a storyteller, but that's going to help. When you get into this, now you can make video. Now you can make motion in video, and now you're really going to want to know how to tell a story. So do that while you're waiting.
Okay, so I came up with it. It's Auctoria, Auctoria. It's in the gaming space, game development space. And what they've done is they allowed you to prompt 3D model creation with text. Then you get the 3D models. Now you've got 3D objects that you can manipulate on the screen, and then they're overlaid, imagine texture mapping on top of those. Nice. But with AI generated imagery, it's really quite fantastic. This is something that's slightly different from the way that Runway works. Runway is using, I suppose, GANs, generative adversarial networks, to create these out of training sets, whereas this tool, Auctoria, starts with the idea of a 3D model that you can manipulate. It's literally taking, remember how the woman, Karen, put the objects on the table as the models for the 2D image? Well, this one you do inside the AI, you put the models together where you want them, and then you describe what you want the surface imagery on them to be.
Cool.
Interesting.
Junmi, what's your takeaway?
So I'd say my last takeaway is please go ahead and try it out. The free account's fantastic. It's probably the most leeway I've had on any generative AI video free account, and just experiment. I think the biggest impression I ever got from it was I was blown away at how much you could do with so little. Right.
Yeah.
So the barriers, and I've said this before in previous episodes, I love any technology that lowers the barriers for people to try it out, get into it, and maybe discover that they either had talent for this, or this really gets their juices going, and get their gears turning on pretty much anything. And that expression of the creative spirit, I think, is really enhanced by having all of these tools, this entire platform available to you. So I'd say give it a shot. That's pretty much my last takeaway there. So I'm gonna say have a great day, everyone. We'll see you Monday. We've got a bunch of great episodes coming up. We'll be talking about vector embeddings, and at the end of the week we'll circle back and talk about topics that we've talked over the last couple of weeks, and go in a little more in depth. So join us next week, and aloha.